My dear students, welcome back to our channel. Students, in this video I am explaining Bachelor of Education, i.e. B.Ed 3rd semester. Subject Policy and History of Education in India. Important short and long questions and answers. Let's start quick revision. First important short questions is 1. Write the salient features of Vedic education system. The Vedic education system was the traditional way of learning in ancient India, mainly based on the teachings of the Vedas, sacred texts. Here are the key features. 1. Oral tradition. Knowledge was passed orally from teacher, guru to student, shishya. Students memorized and recited texts. 2. Focus on Vedas. The main subjects were the 4 Vedas, Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda, along with subjects like grammar, logic, philosophy and rituals. 3. Gurukul system. Students lived with their guru in a gurukul, school, which was usually in a forest or village. 4. Personalized learning. Teaching was one-on-one or in small groups, allowing personalized attention. 5. Holistic education. Education wasn't just about academics, it also focused on character building, spiritual growth, and practical skills. 6. No formal exams. There were no exams, and students were evaluated based on their learning and behavior. This system emphasized wisdom, moral values, and community life. Next important short questions is 2. Explain about the educational institutions during Jain period. During the Jain period, education played an important role in spreading Jain philosophy and values. Some key points about educational institutions during this time are 1. Monasteries and temples. Jains established educational institutions in monasteries and temples. These places were used for learning scriptures, philosophy and meditation. 2. Teachers. Acharyas. The acharyas, teachers, taught students about the Jain religion, its principles and ethics. They also imparted knowledge on science, mathematics and logic. 3. Famous universities. One of the notable educational centers was the Nalanda University, where Jain scholars studied and taught alongside Buddhist scholars. 4. Learning environment. Education was mostly free, and students lived in these institutions for years. They studied in a peaceful and disciplined environment, focusing on self-development and learning. The Jain education system emphasized non-violence, ahimsa, truth, and self-control, influencing many students during that time. Next important short questions is 3. Describe about Guru-Shishya Parampara. Guru-Shishya Parampara refers to the traditional teacher-student relationship in India where knowledge is passed from the Guru, teacher, to the Shishya, student. It is an ancient and respected system in Indian education. 1. Personalized learning. The Guru teaches the student individually, focusing on both academic knowledge and moral values. The learning process is very close and personal, with the student staying with the Guru. 2. Moral and spiritual growth. The Guru not only teaches subjects like mathematics, literature, and music but also guides the student in spiritual growth, ethics, and character building. 3. Respect and devotion. The Shishya shows great respect and devotion to the Guru, following the Guru's teachings closely. 4. Example. In the Mahabharata, the story of Arjuna and Lord Krishna shows a perfect example of the Guru-Shishya relationship, where Arjuna learns life lessons and the art of warfare from Krishna. This tradition emphasizes wisdom, discipline, and the bond between the teacher and student. Next important short questions is 4. Salient features of colonial system of education in British India. The colonial system of education in British India was introduced by the British to control and manage the Indian population. Here are its main features. 1. English language. English became the medium of instruction, replacing regional languages. It created a class of Indians who could serve British rulers. 2. Western curriculum. The education system focused on English literature, science, and European history, leaving little space for Indian culture, history, and languages. 3. Limited access. Education was mostly for the elite and was not available to common people, especially women and lower castes. 4. Examination system. It introduced a formal examination system where students had to memorize and pass tests. It was rigid and focused on theory. 5. Control over minds. The British aimed to create a loyal workforce to serve in administration rather than promoting critical thinking or innovation. Example, the famous Wood's Dispatch, 1854, recommended the spread of English education in India, shaping the colonial education system. Next important short questions is 5. Explain Savitribai Phule contribution to the field of education. Savitribai Phule was a pioneer in the field of education, especially for women and marginalized communities in India. Here are her major contributions. 1. First woman teacher, Savitribai, along with her husband Jyotirao Phule, played a key role in starting the first school for girls in India in 1848 in Pune. This was a bold step, as education for girls was not accepted at the time. 2. Promotion of women's education. She fought against child marriage, caste discrimination, and for the education of girls and women. She believed that education was the key to empowerment. 3. Social reformer. Savitribai also worked for the rights of Dalits, lower caste, and untouchables, opening schools for them too. 4. Poetry and writing. She wrote poems and literature promoting social reforms and education. Savitribai's efforts laid the foundation for a more inclusive and progressive education system in India. Next important short questions is 6. Describe about Nai Talim. Nai Talim, also known as basic education, was a revolutionary educational philosophy introduced by Mahatma Gandhi in the 1930s. It focused on the overall development of a child, not just academic learning. Here are its key features. 1. Learning through work. Students learned by doing, engaging in practical work like agriculture, handicrafts, and weaving, along with regular studies. This made education more meaningful. 2. Integrated curriculum. It combined academics with life skills, so children could learn subjects like math, science, and social studies through hands-on activities. 3. Self-reliance. The aim was to make students self-sufficient, developing their creativity, skills, and character. 4. Equality. Nai Talim emphasized education for all, including both boys and girls from different social backgrounds. Example, in a Nai Talim school, a student might learn math by calculating the cost of materials for a craft project, connecting classroom learning with real-life situations. This system aimed to make education practical, holistic, and accessible for all. Next important short questions is 7. Describe the overview of thoughts of Indian thinker Rabindranath Tagore on modern education. Rabindranath Tagore, a great Indian thinker and poet, had unique views on modern education. He believed in a more holistic and creative approach to learning. Here are his key thoughts. 1. Freedom in learning. Tagore felt that education should not be rigid or based only on exams. Students should be free to explore their interests and creativity, rather than being forced into a fixed syllabus. 2. Nature as a classroom. He believed that nature is a great teacher. At Shantiniketan, his school in West Bengal, Students learned in open spaces, connecting with nature to develop their minds and spirits. 3. Emotional and moral growth. Tagore emphasized that education should develop not just intellectual abilities, but also emotional and moral qualities. 4. Global perspective. He promoted an education that looked beyond borders, encouraging students to learn about different cultures and become global citizens. For example, at Shantiniketan, students participated in arts, music, and outdoor activities, creating a well-rounded education. Next important short questions is 8. Describe about constitutional values. Constitutional values are the basic principles that guide the functioning of a nation's government and society. In India, these values are derived from the Constitution of India and promote fairness, equality, and justice. Here are some important constitutional values. 1. Democracy. The government is elected by the people. Everyone has the right to vote and choose their leaders. For example, in elections, every citizen above 18 can vote. 2. Equality. All citizens are equal before the law, regardless of their caste, religion, or gender. For instance, women have the same rights as men in the workplace. 3. Justice. The system ensures fairness for all. If someone feels wronged, they can go to court to get justice. 4. Secularism. India respects all religions and ensures that no religion is favored by the government. 5. Liberty. Every individual has the right to freedom, including the freedom of speech, expression, and movement. These values help create a fair, peaceful, and united society. First important long question is 1. Education during epic period and explain about Ramayana. Education during the epic period, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Education in the epic period, around 5000 to 2000 BCE, was centered around oral traditions, religious teachings, and practical skills. During this time, education was passed down through storytelling, and the focus was on moral values, life skills, and spiritual knowledge. Gurus, teachers, played a key role in teaching students, especially young princes and warriors, through stories, rituals, and practical experiences. In ancient India, gurukuls, schools, were the main places for learning. Students would stay with the teacher, living like family members, learning sacred texts like the Vedas and epics, and mastering archery, warfare, music, and other arts. Ramayana and Mahabharata were key texts for teaching values, ethics, and life lessons. Ramayana and its educational significance. The Ramayana is one of the two great epics of India, written by the sage Valmiki. It tells the story of Lord Rama, his wife Sita, and his journey to rescue her from the demon king Ravana. It is not just a story but a source of moral teachings and values. 1. Moral lessons. The Ramayana teaches the importance of dharma, righteousness. For example, Lord Rama's devotion to duty, his respect for his father's word, and his love for his family show the importance of family values and truthfulness. Rama is often referred to as the ideal man for his virtues. 2. Importance of friendship and loyalty. The bond between Rama and his loyal companion Hanuman teaches students the value of friendship, loyalty, and service. Hanuman's devotion to Rama and his courage in the battle against Ravana is a key lesson in selflessness. 3. Role of women. Sita, the wife of Rama, represents virtue, devotion, and sacrifice. Her character teaches respect for women and the importance of inner strength. 4. Challenges and overcoming obstacles. The Ramayana also teaches how to face challenges and obstacles in life with courage and determination, just as Rama faced various struggles during his journey. Through the Ramayana, education during the epic period was not just about learning to read and write, but about shaping the moral and ethical character of individuals. Next important long question is to explain the salient features of Buddhist education system. The Buddhist education system emerged around the 6th century BCE, founded by Gautama Buddha. It played an important role in spreading Buddhist teachings and principles of peace, ethics, and wisdom. The system had several key features that focused on both spiritual and intellectual development. Salient features of the Buddhist education system. 1. Monastic education. Buddhist education mainly took place in monasteries, viharas, and stupas. These were places where monks, bhikkhus, and nuns, bhikkhunis, lived, studied, and meditated. Education was free, and anyone could join, regardless of their caste or social status. Example, Nalanda University, one of the most famous Buddhist centers of learning, attracted students from all over the world to study subjects like logic, philosophy, and science. 2. Focus on spirituality. The primary goal of Buddhist education was to achieve nirvana, freedom from suffering. Students learned Buddhist philosophy, meditation, and ethical conduct. They studied texts like the Tripitaka, which contained Buddha's teachings. Example, monks would meditate daily to achieve a calm and peaceful mind, which was an essential part of their education. 3. Practical learning. Education wasn't just about reading scriptures, it also involved practical learning. Students learned various skills like agriculture, medicine, and arts to live a balanced life. 4. Teacher-student relationship. In the Buddhist education system, the relationship between the teacher, guru, and student, shishya, was very important. The teacher guided students not only in learning texts, but also in ethical and spiritual development. 5. No formal exams. Unlike modern education, the Buddhist system didn't have exams. Learning was based on discussion, meditation, and reflection. Students were encouraged to think deeply about the teachings of Buddha and apply them in daily life. 6. Inclusiveness. The system was open to everyone, regardless of gender or social status. Women could also become nuns and receive education. Example, Sariputta, one of Buddha's main disciples, was known for his wisdom and understanding of Buddhist teachings. His education was not just academic but deeply spiritual, as he spent much time in meditation and philosophical discussions. In conclusion, the Buddhist education system was centered on spiritual growth, intellectual development, and moral living, with an emphasis on personal reflection and learning through experience. Next important long question is 3. Describe about Indian Gurukuls during medieval period. Indian Gurukuls during the medieval period were traditional centers of learning where students lived and studied under the guidance of a teacher, known as the Guru. The Gurukul system continued to exist during the medieval period, although it began to evolve with the changing times. Here's an overview of how these Gurukuls functioned during that period. Salient features of Gurukuls during the medieval period. 1. Focus on holistic education. Gurukuls during the medieval period provided a well-rounded education. Students learned scriptures, philosophy, grammar, mathematics, and astronomy, along with art, music, and warfare. Education was aimed at developing both intellectual and moral qualities. Example, in many Gurukuls, students studied the Vedas and Upanishads, ancient Indian texts, as well as the Mahabharata and Ramayana to understand values and ethics. 2. Guru-Shishya tradition. The relationship between the Guru, teacher, and Shishya, student, was highly valued. The Guru not only taught knowledge, but also guided students in developing a disciplined and ethical life. Students would stay with the Guru in the Gurukul, often for many years, and learn directly from him. Example, the famous medieval scholar Al-Biruni, who came to India during the early 11th century, observed that learning in Gurukuls was deeply based on personal relationships between teachers and students, where students were treated like family. 3. Religious and cultural education. Gurukuls were centers for teaching religious texts and rituals, as well as the Indian way of life. They helped preserve religious traditions and culture. Many Hindu temples also acted as centers of learning during this time. Example, Vedanta philosophy and teachings about bhakti, devotion, were often taught in these gurukuls, where students learned the importance of spiritual knowledge. 4. Limited access. Unlike today's formal schools, gurukuls were not open to everyone. Education was generally reserved for the upper castes, especially Brahmins and Kshatris. The lower castes or Dalits were often excluded from formal education in these systems. 5. Practical learning. Education in Gurukuls was not limited to theory. Students were taught practical skills like agriculture, medicine, and architecture, helping them contribute to society in practical ways. 6. Influence of Islamic education. With the advent of the Delhi Sultanate and later the Mughal Empire, Islamic education systems also influenced the Indian educational landscape. Madrasas, Islamic schools, became common, where students learned Arabic, Persian, and Islamic theology. Example, Swargadev Rudra Singha of Assam, during the 17th century, established a Gurukul where students were taught arts, literature, and spiritual teachings, blending traditional Indian knowledge with regional culture. In conclusion, Gurukuls during the medieval period were centers of both spiritual and intellectual learning, though access was limited to certain sections of society. They played an important role in preserving ancient Indian knowledge and values while adapting to new influences. Next important long question is: 4. Explain Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya's contribution to the field of education. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya was one of India's most respected leaders and educators who made significant contributions to the field of education. His work, especially in the early 20th century, helped shape modern education in India. Here's an overview of his contributions. 1. Founding Banaras Hindu University, Bhu. Madan Mohan Malviya is best known for establishing the Banaras Hindu University, Bhu, in 1916 in Varanasi. Bhu became one of the largest and most prestigious educational institutions in India. His goal was to provide quality education to students from all backgrounds, focusing on both traditional Indian knowledge and modern subjects like science, technology, and the arts. Example, Bhu became a symbol of Malviya's vision to combine Western education with Indian culture, creating well-rounded individuals who could contribute to the nation's progress. 2. Advocacy for national education. Malviya believed in the importance of national education, which focused on developing the country's youth with a strong sense of Indian culture and nationalism. He emphasized that education should promote both intellectual growth and moral values. Example, he promoted the idea that students should learn not only modern sciences and languages but also understand and appreciate India's ancient traditions, culture, and spirituality. 3. Promotion of Hindi as a national language. Malviya was also a strong advocate for promoting Hindi as a national language. He believed that a common language could unite India's diverse regions and cultures. He worked to make Hindi the medium of instruction in schools and universities across the country. 4. Contribution to social reforms. Malviya's contributions weren't limited to education, he also worked for social reforms. He supported the upliftment of untouchables and women's education. He also campaigned for the betterment of the poor and backward classes, advocating for education as a way to improve their social and economic status. Example, Malviya promoted women's education by encouraging them to attend institutions like BHU, which later became one of the first universities to admit women students. 5. Influence in freedom struggle. Apart from his contributions to education, Malviya was deeply involved in India's freedom movement. He was a key figure in the Indian National Congress and worked towards the cause of Indian independence. Conclusion. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya's educational vision laid the foundation for modern educational institutions in India. His contributions continue to shape Indian education, making him one of the greatest educators and national leaders in Indian history. Next important long question is: 5. Write the education reformers of India and their influence on Indian education system. India has had several education reformers who worked tirelessly to improve the education system and make it more accessible to all. Their contributions helped shape modern education in India. Here are some key reformers and their influence. 1. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a social reformer who played a major role in promoting modern education in India. He is known for advocating education for girls, abolishing sati, the practice of widow burning, and promoting scientific and rational thinking. Influence. He founded the Brahmo Samaj and established the Anglo-Hindu school in Calcutta in 1822, where English and Western sciences were taught alongside traditional Indian knowledge. His efforts led to the introduction of modern education in India, influencing later reforms. 2. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was an educator, social reformer, and writer. He is known for his work in women's education and social reform. Influence. Vidyasagar advocated for the education of girls and played a key role in the Bengal Renaissance. He also worked towards the widow remarriage movement. He is credited with founding the Bengal Female School in 1856, which promoted girls' education in India. 3. Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was a spiritual leader and thinker who greatly influenced education in India. He believed in education that combined both material knowledge and spiritual growth. Influence. He promoted value-based education, emphasizing the development of character, skills, and knowledge. He also stressed the importance of self-reliance and encouraged students to serve society. His famous speech at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago, 1893, inspired many to value both Indian traditions and modern education. 4. Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a visionary who introduced the concept of Nai Talim or basic education, which focused on learning through work. Influence. Gandhi believed that education should be practical and aimed at developing character. He promoted the idea of integrating vocational training with academic education. His model of education was focused on self-sufficiency, self-discipline, and learning through hands-on activities. This approach led to the establishment of many Gandhi schools that aimed to provide education that was in tune with India's rural needs. 5. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya was a prominent educator and the founder of Banaras Hindu University, BHU. Influence. He worked to make higher education accessible to students from all backgrounds, promoting Indian culture and nationalism. His contributions to education also included advocating for Hindi as the national language and promoting women's education. Conclusion. These reformers laid the foundation for modern education in India. They emphasized the importance of education for all, regardless of gender or caste, and worked towards creating an education system that combined both traditional values and modern knowledge. Their influence continues to shape the Indian education system today. Next important long question is 6. What are the qualities of good citizen? Explain. A good citizen is someone who contributes positively to society and respects the rights and responsibilities of others. Being a good citizen is important for the growth and development of a country. Here are some key qualities of a good citizen. 1. Respect for the law. A good citizen follows the laws and rules of the country. This includes paying taxes, respecting traffic rules, and not engaging in illegal activities. Example, a person who stops at traffic lights and follows road safety rules is showing respect for the law. 2. Responsibility. Good citizens take responsibility for their actions and understand their duties. They contribute to the well-being of the country by taking part in civic duties like voting or helping during emergencies. Example, a good citizen votes in elections, helping to choose leaders who will make decisions for the country. 3. Respect for others. A good citizen treats everyone with respect, regardless of their religion, caste, or background. They believe in equality and fairness for all. Example, a good citizen does not discriminate against others and treats all people equally. 4. Patriotism. A good citizen loves their country and is proud of its culture, history, and traditions. They are willing to serve their country when needed. Example, a person who takes part in national celebrations like Independence Day shows love and respect for the country. 5. Environmentally conscious. A good citizen cares for the environment by keeping it clean, saving resources, and helping to protect nature. Example, a person who recycles, reduces plastic use, and plants trees shows care for the environment. 6. Helping others. A good citizen helps others in need, whether it's through volunteering, donating, or offering support during difficult times. Example, during a natural disaster, a good citizen may donate food or help in relief efforts. 7. Honesty and integrity. Good citizens are honest and trustworthy. They do not cheat, lie, or steal. Example, a student who reports the truth about their test scores, even if they are not great, is showing honesty. Conclusion. A good citizen is someone who respects the law, cares for others, and contributes positively to society. By following these qualities, individuals help make the country a better place for everyone. Next important long question is 7. Explain about Ramamurthy Committee. The Ramamurthy Committee was set up in 1961 by the Government of India to examine the structure and functioning of education in the country. It was headed by Dr. K. Ramamurthy, a prominent educationalist, and its main focus was to review the existing education system and make recommendations for its improvement, especially in the context of post-independence India. Main objectives of the Ramamurthy Committee. 1. Improvement of primary education. One of the committee's primary concerns was to improve primary education in India, making it more accessible to children from rural areas and economically weaker sections of society. The committee stressed the importance of providing quality education at the grassroots level. Example, the committee suggested that every child should have access to at least basic education by building more schools in rural and remote areas. 2. Universalization of education. The committee focused on achieving universal education for all children, ensuring that no child was left behind due to financial or social barriers. 3. Educational equity. The committee recommended a more equitable distribution of educational resources. This meant that children from different backgrounds, including scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and minority groups, should have equal access to quality education. Example, schools should provide extra support for children from underprivileged backgrounds to ensure that they can compete on equal footing with others. 4. Improvement in teacher training. The committee emphasized the need for better training of teachers. Well-trained teachers would be more effective in providing quality education to students. Example, teachers should undergo continuous professional development to learn new teaching methods and technologies. 5. Focus on technical and vocational education. It also highlighted the importance of vocational education for students who might not pursue academic careers but could benefit from learning skills for employment. Example, offering courses like carpentry, tailoring, and agriculture in schools would help students develop practical skills. Impact and legacy. Although the Ramamurthy Committee's recommendations were not fully implemented, they played an important role in shaping future educational policies in India. Its suggestions led to a greater focus on primary education, teacher training, and inclusive education in the years that followed. In conclusion, the Ramamurthy Committee contributed significantly to improving India's education system by addressing the key challenges of access, quality, and equity in education. Next important long question is 8. Describe NEP 2020 Policy Critical Reflection. The National Education Policy, NEP, 2020 is a landmark policy introduced by the Government of India to reshape the education system in India. It aims to provide a more inclusive, holistic, and flexible education system. The policy brings significant changes to how education is structured, from school education to higher education. Critical reflection on NEP 2020. 1. Focus on early childhood education. NEP 2020 emphasizes the importance of early childhood education, ages 3 to 8, as crucial for the child's development. It suggests starting formal education early and integrating play-based learning, which is great for developing creativity and social skills. Example, schools are encouraged to introduce learning through play in the early years, allowing children to explore their interests and talents. Reflection. This is a positive change, as early childhood education sets a strong foundation. However, its success depends on proper implementation and training of teachers at this level. 2. Revised curriculum and pedagogy. NEP 2020 proposes a flexible curriculum with fewer subjects, encouraging critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills rather than rote learning. It also introduces multidisciplinary learning where students can choose subjects from different fields. Example, a student can study science, arts, and sports together, which offers a more well-rounded education. Reflection. This is a positive step toward reducing the burden of exams and rote learning. However, the challenge lies in training teachers to handle a flexible and creative curriculum effectively. 3. Promotion of local languages. The policy advocates for teaching in mother tongues or regional languages until at least grade 5 and ideally up to grade 8. This would help students learn better and connect more with the content. Example, a student in a village might learn history or science in their local language, making it easier for them to understand complex concepts. Reflection. While this is great for language preservation and comprehension, it may pose challenges in areas where there is a lack of resources or trained teachers in regional languages. 4. Increased focus on technology and online learning. NEP 2020 encourages the use of technology in education, aiming to bridge the digital divide by providing online learning opportunities, especially in rural areas. Example, the policy aims to introduce digital platforms for students to access lessons, assignments, and educational resources from home. Reflection, while this is beneficial, access to technology in rural areas remains a major challenge. Not all students have reliable internet access or devices, which could widen the gap between urban and rural education. 5. Teacher training and development. The policy emphasizes continuous professional development for teachers, recommending regular training programs to keep them updated with the latest teaching methods. Reflection, this focus is essential for improving education quality. However, effective implementation is key to ensuring that teachers have access to meaningful training and resources. Conclusion. The NEP 2020 is a forward-thinking policy aimed at transforming India's education system. While it brings several positive changes like flexibility, focus on early education, and the promotion of local languages, the success of these reforms will depend on proper implementation, training of teachers, and addressing the digital divide. The policy's full potential can only be realized with careful planning and resources. I hope you understand easily each question. All the best, students, for your upcoming exam. For other subject quick revision. Important questions. Previous question papers. And syllabus. Links are available in description. Check out once. Thank you for watching. Like and share this video with your friends.